Hey, hunting family, you are tuning into the Tracks and Tackle podcast, brought to you by Mentzer Outdoors.
Hey there, hunting family. Welcome back to another episode of the Tracks and Tackle podcast. Today, we've got a special guest joining us, Darren Snow, who is not only an avid hunter, but also an advocate and volunteer for Raised at Full Draw Bowhunting Camps. Darren started hunting at 18, and by 21, he's found his true passion in archery. And since then, he's embraced all aspects of hunting, from whitetail deer to turkeys. And Darren is a hunter through and through. And whether it's archery, muzzleloader, or gun season, he's out there pursuing his passion. But what makes Darren's story even more compelling is his dedication to giving back to the outdoor lifestyle that's given him so much. Having had great mentors when he first started hunting, he knows firsthand the impact that guidance and support can have. Now, through the work with Raised at Full Draw, Darren's on a mission to pass those same lessons along to the next generation, ensuring kids who might not have the opportunity otherwise, that they can experience the outdoors and learn to appreciate it the way that he does. Raised at Full Draw Bowhunting Camps is a nonprofit organization designed to promote archery, hunting, and outdoor education. The goal of these camps is to pass knowledge and techniques on to the next generation, allowing them to learn in a safe, hands-on environment. It's all about building up the next wave of ethical hunters and archers, and Darren is right in the thick of that effort. We're excited to dive deeper into his hunting journey and learn more about Raised at Full Draw Camps, where mentoring the next generation of hunters is at the forefront. So stick around. It's going to be a good episode. Hey there, hunting family. It's time to give a shout out to a company that's been keeping our communities moving since 1995. I'm talking about Interstate Garage Doors. For nearly 3 decades, Interstate Garage Doors has been the go-to choice for comprehensive garage door services in South Central PA, as well as the surrounding Hagerstown, Maryland, and Martinsburg, West Virginia areas. And get this, they're not just any company. They're veteran-owned and family-operated, with a proud history of serving both residential and commercial clients. Their professional technicians are the real deal, offering top-notch installations from industry-leading manufacturers and expert repairs for all garage door makes and models. From residential garage doors to overhead doors and openers, Interstate Garage Doors does it all. So whether you're a hardworking contractor building homes or a homeowner looking for service or just needing an upgrade, you can trust Interstate Garage Doors to get the job done right. And hey, they're not just experts in garage doors, they're also experts in giving back to the community, sponsoring podcasts like Tracks and Tackle. Are you ready to experience the Interstate difference for yourself? If so, here's a little something extra for our loyal podcast listeners. Use promo code Tracks and Tackle when you contact Interstate so they know you heard about them here. Just visit igdoors.com today to get an estimate or request service, or give them a call at 717-263-3150. Don't wait. Take the first step towards a smoother, more secure garage today. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tracks and Tackle. I am your host, the Arrow Eagle, and I got a great guest here with us today. But before we introduce Darren to the listeners and the viewers, Brady, got you with me as well. How are things going, brother?
Hey man, going well over here. We got a Wednesday night. We're excited here to have our guest Darren on and get to learn more about Raised at Full Draw and a little bit into his story about the chapter and the good thing they got going on over there.
Yeah. So without any delay here tonight, it is a weeknight, and we gather here to talk about a little bit of the outdoor lifestyle, and ran into Darren probably about a month ago. Would you say, Darren?
Sure. Yeah. About a month.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we're all getting ready, geared up to hunt archery season, and we're at an archery shoot, practicing a little bit, and I bump into Darren, and we start talking about what he does, and you're representing a program called Raised at Full Draw, and so I want to welcome you to the show, Darren. What we got is our community. We call them our hunting family. You come on the show, you become part of the family. So welcome to the hunting family, Darren.
Outstanding. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys and to your audience about Raised at Full Draw.
Yeah. So let's just get into it, man. I mean, I want to learn a little bit about you, and you sent me a brief biography, sort of. I know you're a local guy to the area, like we are, which is great. Married, children. Started hunting. The thing that was interesting when you sent me your bio was you didn't start hunting right away, but you got into it like later as in your teenage years. And this is something we talk about a lot on the show, is mentors, having a good mentor, somebody come alongside you, show you the ropes, how to do something, because we don't know what we don't know. And there's always somebody out there that knows more than you, as much as you know. And that's pretty much what you guys are doing with Raised at Full Draw. But why don't you just lay out for our listeners a little bit about the program, what it's about, and then we can get into it a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Raised at Full Draw is it's a nonprofit organization. It was started back in 2014 by David and Karen Holder. They also started Raised Hunting. Some of your audience may know who Raised Hunting and David and Karen Holder are. They have two boys. But they started the program back in Montana back in 2014. And that's where the program started. And since then it's blossomed out into additional states. Of course, they now live in Iowa, so it's in Iowa, Wisconsin, Dakota, Michigan. And we had 2 camps this year in Pennsylvania. So last year was our first year for camps in Pennsylvania. And as you guys know, Pennsylvania is a pretty significant bow hunting community.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So Brady, I know that I'm familiar with, Raised Hunting, and that's sort of when Darren and I start talking, I'm like, all right, I recognize this group and the product that they put out. I was not aware of Raised at Full Draw. But I don't know if your familiarity with this or not. Are you familiar with what these guys do?
Yeah. So like growing up, I don't know if it was an era thing, but like lawn, and I don't know for yourself and you guys, but like watching the Outdoors channel, that was on big time. But for me, like not too much. It'd be more so like he'd call me in, like, check out this commercial, because I know there's some pretty funny ones that they put out there because they know their audience. No, it's new to me. I did look into the Raised at Full Draw a little bit, knowing we were going into this conversation, and I saw a little bit, and Darren will be able to tell us a little bit more, but I saw about, the Iowa, whether that started out there or like those folks, whether they started it and then migrated out there. But I looked into it, and it just looks like an awesome thing to basically draw people into this outdoors community that we love and cherish.
Yeah.
100%.
So Darren, how did you get involved? Like that's part of the story is our journey, right? Like how did you get involved? Because ideally, like the program Raised at Full Draw is a you're part of a chapter, like a localized or regionalized chapter. Am I right or am I wrong?
Actually, we're not a chapter organization. We're a single unit organization.
Okay.
We're not a chapter organization, only from the perspective of there is only Raised at Full Draw, the parent organization, which is based in Winterset, Iowa.
Okay. And then, so how did you get tied in with this group?
So, like you guys, Outdoor Channel, right? So, one of the shows that was always very different was Raised Hunting. Mm-hmm. David always had a message for every hunting episode was a life lesson, and it was a message on life lessons. And it was unique. It's not like most other hunting shows in that it's 2 or 3 archery hunts, kills, hold the rack up type deal.
Mm-hmm.
His whole focus was about life, and that meant something. That meant a lot, and it was different. And the reason it was different is because life is about life lessons, and the outdoors, just like growing up, is about life lessons and patience and learning and things like that. So really, really, really enjoyed the show. And I got to meet David and Karen back in, I want to say 2017 at the outdoor show. And
All right.
I got introduced to Raised at Full Draw, and they invited me to come to a camp out there. And it's a bit of a trek to drive to Iowa for a camp or Wisconsin for a camp. But I told them, I said, if you guys ever come east, look me up. And so we started actually the conversation in about late 2019 with Denise, and of course we all know what happened in early 2020. So that kind of cut things down, and then we started ramping things back up in 2022, and we had our first camps this past 2024.
Yeah, awesome. I know you were sending me some pictures of the camps that were happening here in Pennsylvania, and I know, like, we're getting to know you and you're getting to know us, and I shared a little bit when we first met one another, but we're basically just a family that loves the outdoors, and so whenever I first saw the show myself, it is different, and it's very family oriented. It's passing knowledge, wisdom, tribal knowledge is what I would call it. Somebody going and learning and doing it and living it, and then passing that on to the next person, whether it's in the family or what have you. And, that's how I cut my teeth on hunting. I had people telling me what to do, where to sit, how to get ready and prepare. And I know, Brady, you've experienced that as well. And, that's part of what we all gravitate to. I think it's a universal message when you love the outdoors, or when you've experienced that, because there's so many people out there that haven't experienced having someone mentor them or show them. And, we've talked about this in other episodes, Darren, but we have people that, like, I know people my age that want to hunt, like they'd love to do it, but they either don't have the patience, or it's too cold, or hunting big game can be slow. So having the camps where, you get the people out there and they're shooting the bows, and there's that camaraderie piece, that's fun, even though you're not taking home game. So describe for me what a camp looks like.
Sure.
Can you give us paint the picture for those that are watching or listening, so that they can get an idea of what the Raised at Full Draw camp experience is?
Yeah, the camps are a Thursday noon until Sunday noon camp. Mm-hmm. And it's for the ages, we say 11 to 17. It's really kind of 12 to 17. And part of the reason it's 12 to 17 is because we teach the bow hunter education course. For it to be valid in all 50 states, they have to be 12 years old. We also, if for kids that do not have their hunter ed, we also will cover that as well. So the kids will show up at noon. Camp setup starts typically on a Wednesday with our volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers. But camp setup starts typically on a Wednesday. We'll be putting the 3D targets out. We'll be starting to do the different ranges. We have the static range that we have to get set up. There's tree stands that need to be set up. So the campers will shoot out of not only a ladder stand, but they'll also shoot out of a hang-on stand. And these are, we give them the 5-point harness. We teach them how to put it on properly and safely, how to properly set a tree stand, how to properly climb safely into tree stand, how to get comfortable. Most kids, when they first get into that tree stand, of course, you guys, if you guys were anything like me, you get up there and it doesn't matter if it's 12 feet off the ground, it seems like 40.
Right.
one
Yeah.
wrong shift too, and then climbers, you feel like you're going all the way down. It's like a mini heart attack. So
Yeah.
every first with those tree stands, it can be a little scary.
So we teach them all of the bow hunting education skills. So the first thing they do is when they come in, we size them up. Kids that want to bring their bows or have bows can bring them. Our trailer is set up to equip up to, I believe it's 39 kids with bows. So if you've never shot before, we will measure your draw length. We will set a bow up for you, and we will get you prepared to shoot your first arrow. Everybody starts out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, everybody starts out on the static range, and everybody has to qualify at least 10 yards before you start shooting. You can start going out in free time and go shoot at the 3D targets.
All right. And so it's a multiple day camp.
Yep.
And so when I was looking into this a little bit, and maybe you can help me understand, like there's daytime camps and overnight camps. They're not the same.
So we do day camps.
Right.
There are some day camps that are set up in like Iowa and some other places that have more mature camp settings. We're still in our infancy. And so right now we're offering the overnight camps. And so the kids bring tents. If they don't have a tent, we have a couple extra, and they camp out. So Thursday night in a tent, Friday night in a tent, Saturday night in a tent. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would think that would be better. If I was 17 again, that would be. I'd prefer to do the all nighter and hang out with my friends. Because you go to camp and you're doing something like this. I think of what you said about going through like your hunter's education, like not just the safety understanding, but getting the hunter's education piece and walking children through that. They're not children even. They're teens, young men and young women. When I went through it, I showed up and room full of people that I did not know. I was probably, 11 years old, 12 years old, but there was a classmate of mine. And so there was one kid that was going through this at the same time that I was, and it made all the difference, was just to have a buddy to do it. And we talk about this all the time too. Hunting, fishing, whatever you do, doing it with a friend, it just makes it better.
And just the community aspect, with a friend, with family, or even just being able to message someone that has the same hobbies. Like it gets each other fired up. It gets you more antsy to get out in your tree stand, and it just that's just the family aspect. It's what we tied into at the beginning, just about having that hunting family. It makes you go further. Like if you go somewhere by yourself, you'll get there quicker, but if you do it together, you'll go further. So it's just all about the family aspect, and I think what you have kind of instills that and teaches that at a young age.
Yeah, we've had youth that show up with siblings. We've had youth that show up with buddies, and we've had youth that show up that doesn't know the first person there. The amazing thing about this is by dinner time, they all gravitate together, and they little groups, and we have campfire every night. So at campfire, we're either roasting marshmallows or doing something like that. And then the kids have some free time. And so there's always, not sure what they were playing, some sort of tag game in the dark. I don't know how those kids see in the dark. They must have like deer eyes or something, because I couldn't see them.
Yeah. Well, you think about it, the real memories are made around a campfire. That's where you really make lasting memories, telling stories of the day, reminiscing about, what you did learn and that sort of stuff. I want to touch on one thing, because you gave like the age ranges. What's the target audience again for in addition to that, how do you advocate or get these people? I'm wondering, like that one person, that young man that shows up and doesn't know anyone else, how do you get that target audience to come and participate?
So part of what we do is we're advertising through the Pennsylvania Game Commission. They're helping us. They're supporting the efforts. Other ways that we do that is I'll be going to some S3DA. The night that you guys were there, I had at our Ron, that you were there, I had Raised at Full Draw tables set up with pictures of the camps and things like that. So we go to a variety of different events. In fact, there's a couple things that I'm starting to look at. There's actually a Cumberland County community day down in Newville that's coming up. I want to say it's like Friday the 12th or something like that. It's being put on by Barb Gleim.
Yep. I'm familiar with So that's a great outreach. A lot of people will be there.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. So you'll go and you'll set up a table. And I mean, basically what you're doing is you're going out and you're marketing the program.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I love it. So, I mean, that's how we connected. Go ahead, Brady.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think here just to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So is this, set up? Is it mostly South Central PA, local to us? Will you travel? What's your range of how far Raised with Full Draw will go here? And I'm just trying to figure out, where our audience can find you.
Yeah. So of course they can find us on the website of the www.raisedatfulldraw.com. But on top of that, we will have a camp in Felton, which is in York County.
Mm-hmm.
We are working on a camp that's going to be somewhere in the Carlisle, Harrisburg, Loysville area. So we're working on that camp. In fact, I just got a text message a little bit ago from Denise Peterson, who is our chief operating officer for Raised at Full Draw. And the Game Commission was in contact with her asking, hey, do you think I can get in contact with Darren? I want to go look at this campsite with you guys and see if this site in Loysville is gonna meet your needs. So I was just answering her just before this podcast to let her know, hey, I got some time this weekend. So who knows, could be Loysville. And then we're working with a couple of guys along with the president of the SCI chapter in Pittsburgh on a location for a third camp that's going to be out near Pittsburgh.
And what's the time? What's the timing on these? So you're looking, a couple of different locations to have these camps, and I imagine it's over the summer, or what does that look like? So
our target is going to be in June, and we want to have 3 camps back to back to back. Denise Peterson comes into to help our volunteers actually run the camps. She's done, I don't know, probably 100 of these camps. She's very talented, very motivated, very detail oriented, and a very talented archer as well. If you ever get to her Facebook page, you might see some of the Iowa deer that she's taken. They're pretty incredible.
Sure. Yeah, they know how to grow them in Iowa.
They do. Yeah. So she comes out here, and this year she came out and she was here for the first camp. And then there was like a 2-week lull, and then the second camp. And then there was going to be another camp, but that coincided with just before school, and it coincided with a county fair. So that camp, we didn't have a lot of attendance. And fortunately, those kids that were signed up for that camp signed up and went to another camp. Yeah,
I would say it's like probably getting anything started, so that you build it up and it can grow legs and stand on its own. There is some trial and error involved. So bringing in somebody like Denise, who has done it before, and you could can show the ropes, that's always a benefit. And then you're always going to have even the whole point, right? You said there's life lessons learned. Like we go through and we give something to college try, and okay, maybe next year I'll change the date so it doesn't interfere with other things that are happening locally. So little trial and error never hurts, and there's always lessons learned and building a business or a nonprofit or anything like that. So I definitely appreciate that. What kind of what kind of skills? I mean, I know that you say that how you train them, but like from if I'm the student coming in, if I'm the young man or the young woman attending one of these camps, what can I expect to walk away with after the end of several days in camp with you guys?
All of the basic skills that you need to become a bow hunter. We teach the bow hunter education program. So
okay.
we teach everything from proper archery techniques for shooting. And then we go into setting up pop-up blinds. If you look at some of those pictures that I have in there, how to set up a pop-up blind. So as a volunteer, I show them the proper methodology to set it up, the proper methodology to break it down. Then all of the campers take a turn and they pop it up, and they break it down. And then later in the week, we teach them how to shoot out of that and how not to put holes in their blinds like I have, because your arrow goes that much farther below your sight. So
lessons learned.
Yeah. So, how to do a pop-up blind, survival techniques, first aid, how to build a fire. I can send you a pile of pictures. We give them a fire starter. When I say fire starter, it's like almost like Vaseline and cotton, and then a striker and a piece of metal, and they got to make enough sparks to get that fire going. We teach them how to build a shelter. What's the first thing if you get injured? What's the first thing you try to do? You're probably not going to get out. Build a shelter. Second to that, build a fire.
Yeah, basic survival skills. Like, where was this whenever I was, 15 years old? Yep. It sounds like a great time, a great weekend, and into that sort of thing. Question for you would be follow-up. Mm-hmm. And I know that you guys are just getting started, but have you had anybody go through the camp and then come back after the fact? You probably by the end of 3 days, you have young people that are saying, "Hey, man, thank you. This is great." But I'm looking like, do you have any success stories? Where that student comes back after the fact and say, this really made that impact and that change. Because most people, like if you're in any type of nonprofit or volunteer or teaching or anything like that, most kids just move on. That you've imparted something into them, but you never get that follow-up. But every once in a while, somebody comes back and says, "Hey, Darren, I really appreciate what you told me here." Yeah. And that's really the reward for pouring into the next generation.
Yeah. So some of the more mature camps, we do get a lot of feedback. There's a lot of them that are friends with Raised at Full Draw on Facebook. And so we get a lot of pictures from kids that get their first deer after camp.
It's awesome. Yeah.
That's always rewarding. I had the opportunity to coach up a young man from near the Philadelphia area, and he had never shot a bow before. And our bows were cranked all the way down to the lowest poundage, which was like 32 pounds. And he worked like crazy to get the technique. Yeah. And it could tell he was getting frustrated because he didn't qualify. He didn't qualify on Friday. Thursday, he didn't qualify on Friday. And I just kept working with him, and he was getting frustrated. And I said, "You can do this." And eventually he locked in and he got qualified, and he was the happiest kid in the world because he got to go shoot the 3D targets now.
Yeah.
And I called his mom, I think I called her Monday. So camp ended Sunday, and then I called her on Monday, and I just told her the level of tenacity that her son had to get qualified so he could go out on the 3D, and I was so proud of him.
Yeah, those are the stories, man. I mean, I'm sure you got a ton of them, but he worked for it, and that's anything worthwhile. You have to work for.
Yeah. So just give you a flavor
from that story. Just sorry to cut you off, Darren, but just hearing from that story and like that young gentleman that sent you success pictures, I'm sure, really answers the why. Like, yeah, it's important that you're contributing, you're helping raise the next generation, and maybe being a father figure in the, outdoors community that someone didn't have. But at the end of the day, yeah, when your class is done and, you left that footprint on their future, that's a good reason to reassure you that, hey, I'm where I need to be, and I'm giving back, and this is my why of why I'm doing this.
Yeah, 100%. And we're reaching out. Part of our outreach is to get into communities where it's not popular to hunt. So we're reaching out into. I'm going to reach out into downtown Carlisle. Get to the outskirts of Carlisle. There's a lot of people like you and me that they're out plucking the string on a Tuesday night, getting tuned for archery season. But there's a lot of kids that grow up in the city that didn't grow up like I didn't. My dad's not a hunter, not a fisherman. He took me fishing. And I don't know why I gravitated towards hunting. I guess I just like being outside. But because I had a mentor in my teenage years, a Robin Kuhn, who was my mentor, and I didn't know anything about woodsmanship. Not the first thing, for me is just taking a gun for a walk in the woods. That's what hunting was. And he taught me how to read sign and find trails and what's the difference between a rub and a scrape and wind and how to be scent free. And he took me to a piece of property that he had access to. And that's where I took my first archery deer.
Yeah, that's where it all began.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the fact that when people come and ask questions. All right, so I got an example here. I got a buddy who used to live local here. He wanted to get into hunting, and we're probably in his 30s, I would guess. And so we went out a few times, and showed him very basic, rudimentary, elementary stuff. And so he moved. He and his wife, they ended up moving, and they're in the Midwest now. And he sends me a picture and a text earlier this week, and he's like, "Hey, I've got my ground blind set up here. Here's where my coordinates are. Talk to me about, I got my trail camera out. These are when the deer are moving. These are when the deer are not moving." But he's asking questions, right? Yeah. And a lot of us, I think, as guys, we go out and we try to figure it out on our own, and that's not always the best thing. Sometimes we do figure it out, but it's so much better when you got somebody to talk it over and get those wisdom steps from, And so it's really fun. I spent a lot of time just going back and forth on a phone conversation with this guy who, he texted me again this morning. He actually sent me a video. He's like, "This is where I'm at. I see a trail here." He's walking me through it step by step, but he's learning as he goes through that stuff. So shout out to all you guys out there that are listening that are just figuring it out. Find somebody that can pour into you, because like I said, there's always somebody out there that can give you an edge. And if you can get an edge when you're hunting or fishing, that's how you become a successful outdoorsman. And frankly, you're teaching survival skills in these camps, so if you ever do find yourself in a situation, you need an edge. You want to have it whenever you're stuck, right?
Yeah. And that's important. And that's really why we teach the bow hunter education course. And it's all hands on. There's no classroom. The classroom is out in the weeds, in the poison ivy, in the woods. And that's why camp selection, we have to have a combination of field. We have to have a place that we can bring people inside in case of, bad weather.
Sure.
We have to have a place to feed, up to 50 youth. And then of course the woods, because you can't hang a tree stand in a field.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to have certain criteria in order to be able to teach the entire bow hunter education course in the field.
Yeah, and I imagine that once you lock up those locations, like you find the location or the geography that this is a spot, like you go out, you scout the spot and say, yeah, this will work for our camps. Then you can really get rolling as far as scheduling these things annually.
Yeah. So Felton's going to be a repeat. And we're not sure if Milroy will be a repeat or if it'll be Loysville. That's why we'll look at Loysville. The turnout up in Milroy wasn't as good as what we had hoped. It's a little bit more remote. It's up there and far up in Mifflin County. So we're going to try to bring it a little bit closer so we can pull from Harrisburg and Carlisle and places like that.
Well, it's getting the word out there too, so like, yeah, go ahead, Brady. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just the more camps that you have and the more consecutive years you do, word travels fast. So, you have a family that, their young boy or young girl like did this and it really helped develop them. They're going to, talk at their classmates, parent teacher conferences and, so forth in their community. Just word travels fast, word of mouth is the best advertising you can do. So, as they go through your program and, they learn like, oh, this is awesome. They're going to talk about it and people are going to hear about it and they're going to be interested in it. A question that I had, like, there's so many pros that we've talked about this along the way. Is there any cons? Is there like any cost to this? Is there really anything, maybe the poison ivy, but like, is there anything you can think of why someone shouldn't do this? Like, walk me through that.
So let's see, cons, 0. There are no cons.
Perfect.
These
is
kids,
this like a free program?
It is not. It's $250 per camper. And I'm also working on raising money for the camps. These camps are north of $600 per camper in cost. We ask for $250. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise the rest of that through our local community. And we have a couple of good partners so far for our eastern camps, and now one for our western camp. We have a good partner that's gonna help us with some of the costs of having bathrooms and showers, because some of these places they might have one bathroom or one shower. Well, if you got 42 kids there, you need a bath shower house so that you can there's lots of room for bathrooms and taking showers.
Yeah, I would say from my perspective, I definitely could get behind what you guys are doing, which is why when we talked, I said, hey, let's connect and get on here and really promote what you guys are doing, because like Brady says, the more you do this repetitious, over time, there's a ripple effect to this, and you're living the life of a nonprofit. All nonprofits out there. We run a nonprofit as well, and we're always looking for donations, always trying to keep the lights on and provide a quality experience for the thing that you're serving, however it is that you're serving the community. So when it comes to, you said volunteers, you always need volunteers.
Yep.
And then certainly donations. Donations are a big thing too. How do people volunteer? How do people, other than, is it just go to the website and reach out that way? Can they reach out to you directly? How would we, or how can we advocate for Raised at Full Draw here at Tracks and Tackle?
Sure. So the best way to volunteer is to go to our website and sign up. As we know, in Pennsylvania, you have to go through the FBI background check and stuff like that. So if you go to the website, we have a whole segment on volunteer. And even though we haven't established our camps, I can tell you they're going to be in the second, third, and last week of June, or the second, third, and last week of June.
Mm-hmm. We
want to have them close together because it's one trailer, and we want to take that trailer and hit one camp, hit the second camp, hit the third camp, put it in storage, and get Denise back home.
Yeah, yeah. Because if she's traveling out to help sort of run the legwork and get things going, I can imagine that there's a little bit of a window. So doing it back to back makes sense for sure.
Yeah, she has a very, very high standard of quality for these camps, so that the kids, the youth, the young adults have an incredible experience. Our goal is to get youth in the outdoors and hopefully bow hunting.
Yeah. So beyond that, Darren, is there anything on the horizon? Like I know you're sort of establishing things here in the central Pennsylvania area. Do you see anything on the horizon for Raised at Full Draw? Like sky's the limit, or what do you guys have in the future?
Ultimately, I think our goal is to be in all 50 states. But as you know, when you're running a 501c3, growth is slow.
Yep.
The economy ain't great right now. And so donations are a little bit slow, but you know what? We'll adapt and we'll overcome.
The passion's there.
Yeah, we have a great team. Sean Davis heads up our Pennsylvania team as far as establishing camps. We have Stephen Huffer, who is working with Carl on the Felton camp. Specifically, those guys pretty much ran the Felton camp, and they did a super job. And so, very comfortable with how that camp's going to run. And so, we're looking for volunteers, somebody who will actually run the, I'll call it Central PA camp, which I think might be here in the Carlisle, Harrisburg, Louisville area. And we have some volunteers already established out in Western PA, out in the Pittsburgh area. But as you can imagine, when you're feeding, 25 to 50 kids, we need volunteers in the kitchen. We need volunteers to clean up. We need volunteers to sleep, out there in a lot with the kids, because we need
supervision.
Yep, we have girls on one side of the camp. We have boys on the other side of the camp. And we had a pretty good mix down in Felton. We had a really good mix down in Felton. And
that's great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Brady, what other thoughts do you got? If not, I'll give Darren like one more opportunity to plug the, Raised at Full Draw. But this has been fantastic to sit down and talk to you. And, I know we did a little bit of tailgate talking when we first met, but really just to dive in and understand the camps, and certainly we're going to advocate for you guys. So, Darren, we're going to want to stay connected with you.
Absolutely.
And, I'm sure you can get me some information or get me some cards and stuff, and we'll advocate for the program, because we're all about family. We're all about passing, generational, passing that on, mentorship, etc. So that's where I land on this. Brady?
Yeah, I just think that what you guys got is awesome. I'm really just sitting here reflecting, like through like high school and even college, they like to see volunteer hours for certain things. And I'm just thinking like, man, like if I want to volunteer doing something, like why not something I love? So like I missed the boat in that aspect, but I don't think it's too late. I'm just sitting here thinking like June, like a weekend essentially to give up and come help. That's nothing. And I think, it's important to give back to, the community, especially our youth, and, point and direct them at that age. That's when they're most influenced by what we do and what we represent as adults. So just being a positive member in the community, and it's a great way to give back and, feed into our outdoors community. I saw a statistic not too long ago, but it's just going to show that, hunters in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure across the whole, is just declining. People are getting old. The less people are getting involved in it. Internet's a thing now, and the tech generation. So folks on YouTube and just glued to their phone. So less people are getting out, and this just seems like a great way to get people out in the wild and just get outside. Just get outside in the sun and enjoy the weather.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, Darren, any final parting words from you? I want to thank you again for, giving me a little bit of your evening here. I know, like I said, we all get off of work and we try to get a bite to eat if we can, or maybe not yet, but really appreciate, I have an appreciation because I understand what running a nonprofit is involved in all of that. And I appreciate when you have people like yourself who come alongside, like you catch the vision and you come alongside to sort of help run with it. And so hat tip to you for your involvement and your willingness to come on here and help us. Like, we want to help you advocate for the program Raised at Full Draw.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Ron. Just to kind of wrap things up, we do need volunteers. Volunteers are extremely important. You don't have to know anything about archery. If you're good with kids, there's always an opportunity to work with kids. There's kids that are going to get frustrated. You don't have to teach them archery, but you can help them with a positive mental attitude. We need help feeding them. We need help cleaning up afterwards. We need help setting up. We need help tearing down. We need help basically managing the camp from Wednesday through Sunday evening till it's all tore down. So if you have a passion for the outdoors, or if you have a passion for raising kids, it's one thing I didn't get a chance to get into is our belief system. And our belief system is raising the kids right. So they get up in the morning, everybody gets their teeth brushed, we raise the flag, everybody says the Pledge of Allegiance, we go in, have a prayer, we eat breakfast, and then we start our day. One thing you might get a kick out of, because I've got grandkids and I've got kids. Of course, my kids are in their 20s and 30s now, but I remember when they were teenagers, and to try to pry them out of bed at 8:30 in the morning on a day that they didn't have to go to school. The interesting thing is, Friday morning and Saturday morning, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning every morning. There were kids ready to shoot the range before the light was up. They were fired up. They wanted to get on that range and practice and get qualified so they could shoot the 3D. And that just tickled me.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm thinking to myself, we're recording this on a Wednesday prior to the Pennsylvania opener. I'm not sure when we'll get this posted and published, but I'm thinking about archery season. Like, I want to get up, but I still got to pry myself out of bed. It's a little different when you're a teenager, but yeah, man, if you can get people fired up like that, and those young people who are doing it with a friend, like they build those relationships around the campfire, like you say, you can pry one another on, and you can encourage one another in that as well. So I love it, man. So I appreciate you really coming on here, sharing with us. One more time, I'll put in the description of the show, but one more time, it's raisedатfulldraw.com. You can go there. You can get all the information. If you want to donate, if you want to volunteer, you can get connected in that way. You can always find us at Tracks and Tackle or at Mentzer Outdoors on any of your social pages. Look us up. We'll be connecting with you, Darren. I'm going to stay in contact with you. I appreciate you, the rest of you, hunting family, for always tuning in, supporting the show. Any final words from you, Mr. Mentzer?
No, I just thought this was good to get in touch with Darren here, and Raise the Full Draw is awesome. If you're youth or adult, or just looking to get involved and feed into those that are involved in the outdoors, it's a great thing to get into. So yeah, I think it's great, and just happy to be in touch with you, Darren.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate the tailgate time that we had there, Ron. That was great. Getting to know you and your family a little bit, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on your show and have this conversation, keep getting the message out about youth in the outdoors and the passion that we have for bow hunting. So I appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening and inviting me to come on your podcast. So thank you.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Darren, you're part of the hunting family now. So we'll stay in contact here. We'll wrap it for tonight, but hang on the line here. We'll chat a little bit afterwards. For all you guys out there following us, stay wild, let the wind catch your sails, get outdoors, and just, make memories in everything that you do. Appreciate you guys. We'll check in with you later, hunting family. Have a good night.